Hello. Sorry. Mount Rudmore here, and I am back to talk some more BB25. Uh, this season is truly off to the races. I mean, it has already got some seriously cracked energy going on, and I love it. I honestly love it. This season so far has been delivering, and we've only had two actual episodes so far. Only two episodes have aired on TV. Um, I am going to go over last night's episode. I'm going to start with that. Uh, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because most of it was stuff we already knew. Like, we knew Riley was HOH. We knew that she pulled Corey and Jared off the block. Um, but we didn't know what exactly. Well, we didn't know what happened to Corey, first of all, when he got dragged into the nether. And then we didn't know exactly what the HOH was. I'm just gonna start with Corey. He comes back like while they're in the middle of introducing themselves, and he just comes back with a message saying that they didn't want to let him spend too much time there, but someone else may spend some time there. Like that was kind of the implication there, which was interesting. Not quite sure what that means, but I guess some people have some theories, including a battleback theory which a lot of people are potentially excited about because we kind of know who the target is. Scarlet Rain 88, hello, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. I haven't seen you so far this Big Brother season, but welcome. Thank you for being here. Uh, just talking about the second episode. We got to see the first head of household competition play out, and it was the famous balance beam competition which 2 seasons ago kind of broke my heart because Derek X narrowly lost. Sarah Beth won and took Derek X out. But last year, it felt a little better. Smelvis was about to win, but then Michael won and took Smelvis out. And that made me feel good because Smelvis smells. Um, but yes, it was back this year with a little bit of a new twist. There were some swinging pendulum kind of obstacles along the way that the contestants had to navigate. And it's just some of my thoughts on that. Blue goes first. She sets the time. It's not a great time. It's about a minute and a half. She fell off a few times, but, there was no one in front of her, so she just had to keep going until she got it done. And, yeah, I think it was like a minute 36 seconds, if I recall correctly. Cameron comes out next, and he does beat her time. Uh, but again, his time not too great either. I feel like his was like 50 seconds or something. Red comes out, and one of the pendulums knocks him off, and he does a pretty awesome backwards somersault and sticks the landing. So that was kind of cool. Uh, but then he goes back, runs the course again, and he does manage to beat Cameron's time. America comes out next, and she's like, I don't really want to win the first head of household, especially since she did pretty well in the challenge she did in the premiere episode to keep herself safe. She was the first to finish the puzzle. So, she doesn't want to look like too much of a comp threat on day 2, which I get. So she just kind of throws it. She times out. Heisem comes out and he manages to beat Red's time. Bowie, it's like kind of throwing, kind of just running out of time. I don't know if she even really had to intentionally try to throw it. She said she did, but I don't know if that was necessary per se. Uh, I already got a bug flying around. Lovely. Riley comes out and she decides to trust her speed over her balance and just stick to the widest path available. And she gets the best time. She beats Heisem. and nobody else who comes out is able to beat her. Jag is the last one, and he and Riley have been close from basically since they met. So he more or less throws it to her and is like, go ahead, Riley, you can have it. Your HOH is my HOH. So there we have it. Riley is the first head of household of the season. But again, we knew that already. We just didn't know exactly what the competition was. Going into where I picking up where I left off in my previous chat. I do want to issue a correction. It was actually Cameron that competed in the veto and not Bowie. But I wasn't too confident about that. I'm like, I guess it's Blue, Bowie, and Heisem. But I was Blue, Cameron, and Heisem, I guess. Or maybe Bowie was in it and Blue wasn't. I'm not really sure. So, while we're waiting for the veto competition to start, Izzy is worried that Sari is going to be backdoored because Riley picked Sari to host the competition. That's not the case, and Izzy, you kind of need to not spiral about this, or you might will it into existence. Heisem wants to win the veto to prevent a backdoor that would be detrimental to them and their side. And he's talking to Izzy and says that Jared is a terrible liar, and they're losing trust in him. To be fair, Jared is a pretty terrible liar. So I predicted that Heisem was going to win the veto. I was right. He won the veto. And, he said he didn't want to use it. So odds are he's not going to. But what was interesting is that, well, first of all, what was interesting is that Felicia came in second in this competition. Again, I don't know what exactly this competition was. I guess it was probably some kind of elimination thing. But Felicia came in second. And Riley came in last. And go away. Bug is just flying right around my laptop screen. Riley finished last, and apparently she played so badly that a lot of people are thinking that she threw it, but she denies this when she's talking to Jag. And there's always a lot of lies in the Big Brother house. But everyone kind of has like that one person, or maybe sometimes two people, that they're always honest with. So with Riley, that person is Jag. So when she tells him that she didn't try to throw it, or that she thought about throwing it but didn't, but then like by then it was too late to catch up, I believe her. I don't believe that she fully intended to throw the competition. I think maybe at one point she did, but my guess is that it is just that. She thought about it, almost did, but then actually tried and lost. So that's what I think. And we got Izzy talking to Blue. Izzy asked Blue, "Who is your core?" And there it is again. There's that word again. I can't help but wonder if the presence of Corey is what is making the word core so popular this season. Like, is that a thing? Is that why this is happening? Maybe. Anyway, Izzy asks her. Blue says it's her, Heisem, Jag, and Riley. And, Blue is kind of starting to do what Riley's been doing and just talking up Jag so much. And of course, Izzy knows about the 8-person alliance on the other side, thanks to Jared ratting them out to her and his mother, Sari. So Blue is unknowingly walking into a trap here and not even doing herself any favors in doing so by talking about how close she is with Jag and Riley. So, yeah. Um, I was saying that Blue was doing really well the first couple days. The next couple days, she has not. And, like, I'm not really worried about her being the first to go if their side loses power, but that is something we're going to get to a little later on. But right now, I want to talk about how Izzy was telling Suri that they were going to backdoor her. Again, they weren't. But Suri starts buying into this. And Izzy is the one who is most at risk of blowing up Suri's spot in this house. Izzy is the biggest liability, potentially, to Suri. Izzy has a tendency to get paranoid and spiral about nothing. Like, she does it with little to no evidence. Like, she just goes off her gut. And her gut has been leading her astray a few times. So, like, I believe I said this on Twitter at one point. If Suri's side does not have power once again, and they have to lose somebody, I think it would be in Suri's best interest to uh, cut Izzy loose. I mean, maybe not have her be the one to do it. Maybe try and put Felicia on this job so that Izzy doesn't just rat out Suri and Jared's relationship. Because that's the thing. Suri is kind of trapped with Izzy. You know, she cannot make Izzy feel like she's not a part of her game at any point because Izzy has the biggest bomb in her pocket. If the moment ever comes where Izzy decides that it's time to let Suri and Jared go, or like if she feels that they've let her go, she can end both of their games in a millisecond. Suri and Jared are mother and son. 7 words. That's all. All Izzy has to do is say 7 words, and it's over. They're all gonna figure it out. They're gonna be like, you know what? Now that you mention it, Jared looks exactly like her. Especially since this is something my dad was noticing a lot in last night's episode. He was asking why Jared kept wearing like he was doing like this head kerchief look, and like the more my dad was like talking about like why does he look like that, my dad just didn't like the look in general because he didn't think it was a good look. I didn't like it because it makes him look more like Suri because it's accentuating his face more. He just looks like Suri with a goatee. But yeah, I know I kind of took a couple pats there with that thought, but my point is Izzy is the biggest risk to Suri's game with the information she has and her tendency to get paranoid. And then this continues with Izzy talking to Jared. They're both certain that there was a backdoor plan. And now at this point, Izzy is starting to call Suri mom around him. And I get that around him, yeah, it's his mom. Like I have relatives like my mom is aunt to them, but around me they say mom because that's my mom, and around them I'll say like my aunt or uncle, like that's your mom or dad. So you know what I mean? So I kind of get that, but it's kind of weird just hearing it from Izzy because Izzy has been so far up both Suri and Jared's butts this whole time, ever since she realized who they were. And like it's honestly starting to look like this freaky parasocial thing. And dare I say, maybe it's giving a little bit Dr. Will and Boogie. They were really tight, but then Boogie was getting really weird around Dr. Will, and then Dr. Will got a restraining order against Boogie. So, I'm just saying, maybe Izzy needs to be careful she doesn't become the next Boogie. That's all I'm saying. And also, Suri tells Red that they were trying to backdoor her. And Izzy's going to be her downfall. I'm making that official prediction. Suri is going to have a downfall in this game, and it's going to be because of Izzy. Even if Izzy does not reveal the truth of her relationship with Jared. Because Izzy just does too much. She's busy Izzy. She is doing way too much. She's letting way too many people know she's comfortable with Suri and Jared, and it's just putting them more at risk. I mean, at the moment, I feel like Izzy has probably made herself more of a target for the other side than Suri or Jared, but, the question is, would Izzy rat them out to save herself? And I don't know. I really don't know. That could go either way with me, in my opinion. So we get a Heisem and Jag talk. They talk about how we do have kind of similar like backgrounds in terms of like when we were younger. People didn't really understand us as much, and Heisem is Muslim, Jag is Sikh. So I mean, Sikh and Islam are not the same, but the sad truth is, after 9/11, people who looked Muslim were the recipients of a lot of prejudice, and Joseph talked about this last season, being a Muslim kid. Like he was, my God, Joseph was like 3 or 4 years old when 9/11 happened, so that was probably like a serious childhood trauma for him, like that kind of um, profiling, really. So, Heisem and Jag kind of bond over this fact. And they say that they don't want to be against each other. And Jag's side of the house has a straight up leak. Heisem's, thanks to Izzy getting in Suri's head with bad information more often than not, his side is starting to crack. So Jag has a leak. Jag's side has a leak. Heisem's side has a crack. So there is sort of an opportunity here if down the line, if both of their alliances are really crumbling, Heisem and Jag could potentially link up and maybe bring in a couple of reliable people from their respective sides and just form something new, and then they become the dominant part of the house. Because again, both sides of the house have strong players and weak players. There's Suri's side, and I know Riley is the HOH, but I said this before, it's Jag's side to me, because he really seems to be running the show, although there might be someone else coming along soon to start running the show over there, and it's still not Riley, but we'll get to that. Suri and Riley do have a conversation. Riley says that everything worked out perfectly. She says that she would have picked Heisem if she got house guest choice. Luke would have been the replacement nominee. And, I'm hoping that this is starting to calm Suri down from Izzy's suspicions of a backdoor. It seems to, more or less. And this also has the potential to convince Suri that she can actually bring in Luke as a number to her side now that she knows, like, hey, Riley was gonna backdoor you, or at least name you as the replacement if the veto were to be used. So Suri now has that in her pocket if she does decide to bring Luke in, which, honestly, a number's a number. Maybe they should. I know a lot of people don't really feel overly great about Luke, because he's just kind of off doing his own thing for the most part, but, you know, there is value in his vote, and if Suri decides to feel that way, instead of just making him an easy target if she were to win, then, you know, he might just fall in with her. So Felicia and Jared are talking, and they just spell out their side completely. It's the two of them, Suri, Izzy, Heisem, Bowie, Red, and Mikol, or Mimi, as she's being called. And Jared talks to Izzy, and she says, we're going to steal Corey away from the other side. And I'm just like, wouldn't Luke be a little more doable? Like, with Corey, you're running the risk of him being more loyal to them and ratting you out. Which I kind of want to see in some way. Because Jared is already the mole on Jack's side of the house. If they bring in Corey and then he becomes a mole to them, and he's the mole for Jag's side, like to give Jag's side the information, then we've got a full-blown Departed thing going on. Like, it just turns into The Departed. Jared and Corey just become Leo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. So, yeah. It's a hot mess. I mean, that would be a hot mess. It's already a hot mess. But that would be just incredible. Can you imagine Big Brother ends up inadvertently becoming like a real life version of an Academy Award winning movie? Like a Best Picture winning movie? Oh, that would be nuts. Jared's talking to Corey. Jared says that he hasn't seen Suri on Survivor. And then Corey explains to him, oh man, Suri is an all-time top 10 player. She isn't a liar, and her allies usually win. And, you know, him telling all of this to Suri's son, like, Corey's position in the house is growing rapidly. Like, Corey is now playing the game that it looked like Blue was going to play before she started coming undone. It's coming apart a little at the seams. So yeah, Corey is just rapidly moving up in this house. And he doesn't even realize it. With one exception that we are going to get to soon enough. Cameron talks to Riley, and he's like, listen, the other side, they don't have anything forming. We're good. They ain't playing that great. Never, ever make that assumption in Big Brother. Ever. If they ain't talking game with you, they're talking game specifically excluding you. That should always be the assumption. And I don't know what the thought process was there for him, but that was a very foolish thing for him to say. So, remember I said Corey's position was growing, with one exception? Well, that exception is Heisem. He does not like Corey. At all. Like, to a borderline unhinged degree. Heisem, in general, he's a pretty easygoing guy with just about everybody in the house. But there's something about Corey. Like, I feel like Corey looks like somebody that has hurt Heisem in his life. Corey must look like Heisem's worst childhood bully. That's the only thing I can think of for why it's just so intense. Like, to the point where he said, like, he's calling him Cody by accident because he subconsciously hates Corey. And I'm like, I don't think it's that subconscious. I think you very consciously hate Corey. And then, of course, with Izzy now saying she wants to bring Corey in, that could lead to tension within their side. So I think Izzy and Heisem are the two hotheads on this side. And this Heisem is only a hothead around one person, and when he's talking about one person, but he gets heated. And this is another thing that I think could be a liability to Cerie's side of the house. Um, so let's talk about Felicia and her mics. She dropped her first one in the toilet. And then she fell in the hot tub, which ruined that one. And along the way, there was a third mic that got ruined. So when I wrote this update, she was on mic number 4. But after I wrote this, she dropped another mic in the toilet. So she is on 5. This woman has killed more mics than a serial killer in South Boston. For those of you who don't know South Boston, it's mostly Irish and Italian. So there's a lot of people named Mike there, or Michael. So, yeah. Felicia is just killing microphones left and right. And I'm just thinking it's going to get to the point where she's going to get a penalty vote. Like, and the hot tub one in particular, we really have to talk about. Because she fell into, it's essentially the pool. Like, she fell into water. Also, Jerry, the oldest contestant of all time, he fell into the pool at one point. Felicia is the oldest female contestant of all time, and now she has fallen into the pool. It's like, what is it? If I had a nickel for every time one of the two oldest contestants on Big Brother fell into the pool, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. So yeah, that's Felicia is just killing microphones left and right. Like, whoever gets evicted, like, that person's microphone is just going to be the replacement. Or just whoever Felicia outlasts in this game, like, everyone who's evicted, their mics just become her backups. So then we have Izzy talking to Red. Now she says, I don't trust Blue, which might have something to do with Blue starting to go the Riley route of telling everybody just how much she loves Jag and how close she is with Jag. Izzy thinks that Riley, Jag, and Corey need to be the first 3 out. She wanted to bring in Corey yesterday, but I don't know. I guess Heisem's anti-Corey propaganda has gotten through to her. But at this point, she is starting to bring in Luke. And as I said, Luke would probably be a little more doable than Corey because while there aren't really too many people at this point on this side of the house that like Luke, there isn't really anyone that actively despises him in the way that Heisem despises Corey. You gotta love one-sided Big Brother beefs. Like, it's reminding me of Steve and Becky from BB17. Like, just out of nowhere, Steve comes out with this diary room session about how much he doesn't like Becky. He's like, oh my god, I can't stand Becky. And then after a while, Becky just sort of catches on to the fact that Steve wants nothing to do with her, and then she doesn't like him. But that being said, Steve's first HOH, he didn't even nominate Becky. Put up Jackie and Meg, and Jackie left. So he didn't seem to have that much of a problem with her. And then Becky voted for Steve to win. So couldn't have been that bad. That was just such a weird one-sided thing. Like it started off as Steve not liking Becky, and then Becky just sort of realizing that Steve wants nothing to do with her. And after the show, Steve was like, "I didn't hate Becky. We just never really talked game at all." So, and that does kind of go into a theme that has come up with this season. If you're not talking game with someone, then they don't really have much of a reason to trust you. So, but the difference here with Heisem and Corey is that it's only day, I think this was 4 or 5. Yeah, it was day 4, really. No, not even that. It was day 3, really, that Heisem was making his. Yeah, I think it was either day 3 or day 4 where Heisem was really making his dislike for Corey known. Steve and Becky, that was just kind of something that happened gradually as the season went on. So, yeah. Sari and Corey talk. They finally start to bond a little more. Corey admits that knowing who she was and knowing how she has played Survivor, he was a little intimidated by her. But he knows how loyal she is, and she talks about how loyal she is. So they start to bond a little more over this. And, this is when I'm starting to think, okay, Corey might actually be more susceptible to being to falling in on this side, or at least with Sari. Definitely not Heisem, probably not Izzy, but Sari and by extension Jared, he might be able to have a good enough thing going with them that he could stick around a little longer. Sari and Heisem talk, and they're like, we want to target the linchpin of the other side, which they think is Riley. But again, at this point, it was probably Jag. Again, at this point. Felicia tells Mimi about her strategy of just asking questions, like just asking outright with no pretense. She's already done it with Riley. She just looked at Riley like, so who are you working with? Just that blunt. Says she wants to do it with Luke. And she also says that she wants to just come out and say, so your alliance is all these people, like everyone Riley's working with, that they know Riley's working with because Jared is the mole. And as hilarious as that would be, that could make Felicia a target a little sooner than maybe she would otherwise be. Because a lot of them are not really viewing Felicia as much of a competition threat, and Felicia herself is even saying, nah, I probably won't be very good in competitions, although, second place, that's not nothing. Second place in the veto competition. Although we still don't know what it was. There's that bug again. And also, this could alert them. Like, if Felicia just says, so this is everyone you're working with, that could alert Riley, and by extension, her two closest people, Jag and Blue, to the presence of a double agent. And Jared has not been perfectly clean in some of his gameplay. So if they have reason to suspect there's a mole, they might catch on more to some of his more sloppy gameplay, and then they're going to be like, is Jared the rat? And then they might then see him wearing one of his head kerchiefs that just accentuates his face more, and then they're gonna be like, is Jared Cerie's son? So yeah, I think as much as I appreciate Felicia's bluntness, um, this actually could backfire. It could make her a target, and it could make possibly Jared and even possibly Cerie a target. So I'm thinking maybe this is not the best move. Izzy and Heisem have a talk with Blue, and Izzy later tells Cerie that she's annoyed that Heisem had this conversation in the first place, and now she's worried about Heisem. So there's another crack forming on this side. And she says, I'm tired of Blue's voice. Because, Izzy has a knack for finding out who Stan BB Twitter really loves. And going in, it was probably Kirsten and Blue the most. And Izzy has now had beef with both of them pretty intensely. And once again, she's back on thinking the Cerie backdoor plan was real. Once again, it was not. Riley never even considered that. But now Cerie is back once again thinking it might have been real. Busy Izzy, doing too much again. So Corey, he tries to connect with Heisem a little more than he has been. And Heisem is just icy to him. He's Isem. Heisem is Isem in regards to Corey, because he's so icy to him. Like, Corey's just trying to talk to him. Heisem's just staring in his bowl of slop, eating it, not paying attention to him, just giving him nothing. And it was starting to remind me of towards the end of last season. It was right after Alyssa left. Taylor had won HOH by then. Turner's trying to talk to Brittany because obviously they were the two votes, so Turner knows how he voted. So he tries to talk to Brittany about how she voted and why she voted to evict Taylor. And Brittany is just silent, basically. She's giving him nothing in that conversation. That's basically what this reminded me of. Heisem is like the new Brittany. Not giving much. And it's just so weird. Like, Heisem, in general, is a very sociable guy, and, going in, he talked about how he was going to try to be a sociable guy to as many people as he could. But with Corey, he's just so cold. And I'm thinking this could be the biggest reason why Corey doesn't fully commit to this side. Like, he may not turn against Cerie and Jared per se, but it could be a case of if he were to win HOH, he might view Heisem as a target instead of an ally. So I feel like this is not a good move on Heisem's part. I think Heisem is playing a good game in general, but this is where he's really going awry. And I kind of feel like Heisem is the Blue of Cerie's side. Blue, I think in a lot of respects, is playing a good game, but then she's also making some very egregious mistakes, like telling everyone how close she is with Jag and Riley. Like, you're establishing yourselves as a trio that would be easy pickings. I talked about this a little earlier, but a lot of people are feeling uneasy about Luke on both sides of the house. And they've kind of been feeling this way for a while. Like, he named the Phalanx 5, it fell apart immediately, and he hasn't really done anything since. So Riley talks to him, tells him, just kind of be chill, be more aware of things that are going on. Apparently, he didn't even know who was nominated, or he didn't know who was still nominated. Like, there was some kind of confusion he had there. I'm not exactly sure of the specifics, but he was confused about something in regards to the nominations. And that just had them like, dude, are you for real? And it's like, they're not trusting him because they think he's an idiot. Is he? Isn't he? I don't know. He's definitely. I mean, he did say he was going to play up the himbo role, but it's starting to look like he might just be a himbo. We have Heisem talking to Felicia, and he says that Jag is actually the linchpin of the other side. He's figured it out. And why wouldn't he? Because Riley has been making it pretty clear. So yeah. Good job, Riley. Blue and Jag were my top two going into the season, and I still really enjoy both of them. But my God, did they make a mistake getting close to Riley? I think Riley just made a mistake winning HOH. I feel like Riley would probably be a more tolerable player if she didn't win HOH. But we're seeing just how badly she is handling having this power. So, Riley and Jag are talking. They don't trust Izzy anymore. They think she's doing too much. They think she could get the other side together. I mean, the other side is together, but that's like Izzy's part of that, but it's also Sari and even Felicia. And Jared, of course. Jag suggests that they backdoor Izzy right now. And Riley is like, no, 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 no. Are you suicidal? If we do that, I am next. So Jag does kind of come off it a little bit. And I see what she's saying. And to be honest, convincing Heisem to use it would be a tall order anyway. Because Heisem is stubborn. Okay, he had decided already. He decided before the veto was even played, I'm not going to use it if I win. And he won, and now he's even more certain that he doesn't want to use it. And like, you know, I would love to see it happen for Chaos, but there are right ways and wrong ways to make a big move. Like, the wrong way is Sarah Beth taking out Derek X. Like, oh, okay, you did it. Now what are you going to do? I'll tell you what you're going to do, Sarah Beth. You're going to go home. Well, go to jury. Like, Sarah Beth had zero protection going forward. Like, her focus was on taking out Derek X. She didn't make any sort of strategic plans for next week. Like, okay, I made this big move. How do I not become the next target? And sure enough, she was the next target. She didn't win the veto, and she was out. Like, was that her only plan? Win the veto? Well, it didn't work. And Sarah Beth was the next one out. The right way to make a big move is make sure you have the support to make the big move. And that's where Turner from last season comes in. He realized he had the support to make a big move in Amira. Because of the Festy Bestie twist, he couldn't just put up someone who was paired up with someone he was closer to, but Amira was just paired with Terrence, who he wasn't against him, but he wasn't really in good with him. So Terrence was an easy pawn for him. And sure enough, he got the support he needed. He made the big move. Amira went out, and Turner proceeded to come in third place. So yeah, there is a right way and a wrong way to make this big move. And honestly, it's kind of a moot point anyway, because convincing Heisem to use that veto would be a tall order. Like, no matter who you convinced him it was going to be. He probably would have been worried it'd be Sari. But he probably wouldn't have been too thrilled about it ending up being Izzy either. Okay. Now, these were basically the notes I went to bed with. So when I woke up, I had to go through everything I could find. So this is probably going to be out of order because there was a lot. We get Heisem trying to rally support to go after Cameron now because it's starting to look like Cameron is the true linchpin, the true leader of the other side of the house, the not Suri and Heisem side. Heisem just basically starts, it's almost like he's patrolling the house. Like he's on the balcony, he's in the kitchen, and he's just like watching everything and everyone. And, tone the paranoia down a little. Don't make yourself look too paranoid, or you're going to become a target sooner than you'd like. Red tells Riley. He basically does the thing that Felicia said she would do, and I was like, I'm not sure that'd be a good move. But yeah, he goes up to Riley and he's like, oh, so you're working with Jag and Blue and America and Corey and Cameron and Jared and Matt, right? And she's like, no, I'm not. No. He this should set off some alarm bells for her that they have a mole in their midst. But Riley is just so freaked out at being outed. She's like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? Like, she's not even, her mind isn't even going to mole. So she's freaking out. She talks to Cameron about it, and he's like, listen, don't worry. I got this. I'm going to take care of everything. I know exactly what's going on. I'm not in any trouble, which means I can get us all out of this. You're worrying too much. You look so much prettier when you smile. Just all kinds of weird mansplainy things that Riley does not like, nor did anyone watching. And, look, it happens every year. There's someone that I get kind of a good feeling about, and I start to think, they might not be too bad. And even sometimes I'm just kind of going against the grain. People are like, oh, I'm not going to like this person. But then, like, I see some stuff and I'm like, you know what? I think I might like this person. I saw some stuff that indicated I might like Cameron. I don't. And the fact that in this conversation he had straightened his hair and he looked exactly like Charles Manson, it didn't help. So there's that. Um, Sari, Izzy, Felicia, and Bowie are talking. They named their larger group, like their side of the house, the Professors. So like this is what includes Heisem and Mimi and Red, and like there's still talk about Luke possibly being brought in at least as a number. So I guess we could call Luke like an adjunct professor right now. Sorry, just plugging in my laptop. Battery's getting low again. Um, Cameron and Red are talking about how they have a real bond with each other. I guess it's because of the the Southerner bond that they have. Red's from Tennessee, Cameron's from Georgia, and the feeds cut away for a while, but they appear to have exchanged some information with each other. So now it's like, how many moles are we going to have on each other's sides? Like I want there to be as many moles as possible. Like I know a thing or two about moles. See that right there? Had that my entire life. Yeah, the more moles, the better. Um, America talks about how she wants to keep Kirsten and backdoor Luke. So America is on. I'm calling it Cameron's side of the house now because he seems to have taken over. My whole phone is falling apart. Like I need to get a new phone case. I've dropped this one so many times. Like the phone is fine, but the case is falling apart. And Jag actually supports this, but Riley really doesn't. And America and Mimi, they have a conversation. They decide to protect each other, talk to each other, keep each other informed on some things. So is this another mole situation? Jag and Riley think that Heisem is going crazy. And, you know, certainly around Corey, he's very unhinged. So, who's to say that they're wrong? So that's what I had to catch up on when I woke up this morning. I don't have much um after that. There hasn't been too many conversations since like today is veto meeting day. Last I checked, the feeds went down for the veto meeting. But one note I did take was Luke talking to Felicia. He says that he sees what's going on with Riley and her crew, and he has now realized that he's expendable to them. And he's kind of right. Felicia tells us to Sari and Izzy that, Luke, he's finally in this game. He's fired up, and they think he'd go for Riley. I don't necessarily know if that's true. I think he'd go for that side. I don't know if, well, he said, it just kind of seemed like he's just sort of annoyed at that whole group. So Riley, I think, is an option, but just one option that he would have. A Luke HOH might be more interesting than we might be expecting. So, yeah. This is the last note I made. I want to talk about this before I start looking up what's going on in the feeds now. I thought the Jag side was going to be an effective rival to Cerie's side, but it's crumbling. First of all, Cameron is starting to take over, and he definitely lacks the social graces that Jag has. Like, Jag is a great social player and a good strategic player. Cameron is an intense strategic player, but not a very good social player. And just kind of the whole structure, the whole onion structure, uh, as a lot of people are calling it, Terran in particular. There I go. 53 minutes without mentioning Terran. That's a record for me. But this structure is starting to crumble. I mean, of course, you have Jared, who is close to Sari, and Izzy, for that matter, because Sari is his mother. Izzy knows his secret. Corey is starting to show some signs of gravitating, like there's potential there. Cerie's side is starting to put more work into communicating better with Matt, because Matt has started to open up a little more about how tough it is for him to really know exactly what's going on in the Big Brother house. So, if they start putting in more work, making an effort with him, then he might just decide to ditch them. America is starting to show some skepticism being on this side. And like I said, Cameron's becoming the ringleader over here. Riley's looking at him a little funny now. She doesn't really trust him as much anymore. And there's the fact that Riley and Blue are still running their mouths a lot. Yeah. A lot going on. A lot. And Cerie's side, at the moment, it's looking like they have the potential to emerge as the dominant side, barring a Jag or Blue or Cameron HOH. Corey and Matt are question marks as to what their HOHs would look like. America too. I really don't know what she'd do. Jared, I think if he wins, he would, he'd be loyal to Cerie's side, but that would be him showing his hand. And I don't think winning this HOH is in his best interest. Winning the second HOH. Really, winning an HOH anytime soon. Like, until things have really just gone haywire for the other side, and he knows it, that's when he can afford to win an HOH. I'll be right back. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, that is where I left off. Um, just before I started this stream, the feeds went down, most likely for the veto meeting. So my guess is we now know the results of that veto meeting. And my guess is that nothing has changed. Isom did not use it. Felicia and Kirsten are still on the block. Kirsten is still the target. I see her leaving, probably unanimously. All right. Then on my main timeline, time to check BB updates. Old Faithful. Hold on, let me just check the notifications I suddenly just got. Okay. Apparently. Doesn't say anything yet. All right, so yeah, they're uh, from the looks of it, the feeds are still down. We still don't know yet, but again, we kind of know. I mean, if Isom does decide to just go rogue and does use it, I what would Riley do? Like, Riley's head would explode. She just like blurt out the name of the first person she saw. Oh, sorry, just seeing an idiot that I gotta block. All right. So yeah, feeds are still down, which is very unusual. I don't remember the veto meeting ever taking this long, unless there's something going on with this multiverse twist. If something funky has happened, I don't know. So yeah, I thought I would wrap this stream up by saying the results of the veto meeting, but I guess not. So you're just gonna have to follow me on Twitter. I will let you know as soon as I know. At Nick Grimes YT. I got links to my Twitch page and my YouTube page there. And to my one viewer, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Peace out.